We will be cleaning up the pistons today. I've marked them rear and front, so I'll be taking one at a time, cleaning them up quickly, and then we'll be doing the install. Let's carry on in time lapse. Right, the one thing I talked about yesterday, installing your pistons incorrectly. Your piston has a marking on in for intake. Now naturally your rear cylinder will always run a bit hotter than your front cylinder. So what they do is on the carburetors, they enrich them a bit more on the rear. So if you take out your jets, you'll see that the rear jet will be a slightly bigger jet from your more fueling. On your front cylinder, your exhaust comes out in the front, so your intake will be here. Intake, exhaust, front, out, done. Now when you start installing the rear cylinder, don't go intake at the back, exhaust front, which is wrong. So you have to turn the piston. Intake is at the back, exhaust is at the front, while the engine's rear. So just keep that in mind. Right, so pistons are clean. I'm going to be fitting the new rings, and then we'll space them accordingly. We'll carry on. Right, let's quickly have a look at the rings. We have three rings which make up the oil ring. We have a silver ring and a grey ring. So all these rings, if you look closely, they have markings. The markings, this one is RN, this one is just, it seems like an R. They have to face upward. You have to space them 180 degrees apart. So let's have a look at your top ring. That will be your chrome ring, and your second ring will be your black or your grey ring. So 180 degrees on the piston, away from each other. On the oil ring, same story. Remember, it has two. Space them apart so that you can close the gap. You can have a look, measure your rings in the barrel first. Check your clearances in the manual. See that it is still in clearance or out of clearance. Then either rebore, upgrade your piston sizes, or fit them if they are in clearance, or re-sleeve them. Also, one thing to remember, new bikes, you can run them out of the factory hard. I'm not saying you should do 150 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour on the super bikes. These motors still have, they don't have Nickel barrels. They still have cast iron barrels. So you have to run them 1,000, 2,000 maybe kilometers. Don't run them too rough, too hard, and they'll last. So there is a bit of a braking period on them. That's just my take. People may differ. It's your opinion. I built my motors the way I want to, and it worked for me. Okay, so I think let's carry on with this, and let's do the installation. Right, when building your engine, make sure that everything is extremely clean. And the one thing that I always carry with me is a set of needle files. You can take these needle files. I have different sizes. I use them especially on the two strokes quite a bit. And you can have a look at your ring grooves. If you have ring grooves that are a bit dirty, you can put it in, clean it a bit, file it down a bit, very, very so lightly. Not too much, just to have your rings seated properly. Right, needle files. Cool, let's carry on. If you have access to a ring squeezer, use it. This one of mine is out of service. I just saw that, so I had to revert to the old conventional way. If you're not familiar with that and you don't trust yourself installing the rings from the bottom, don't do it. If you break them, it's gone. Alright, so we'll be carrying on with this cylinder now and start buttoning up everything. Cool, let's carry on. Well, that's our first front cylinder built. As I said, if you don't have access to a ring squeezer, rather go buy one if you're not familiar with installing the rings from the bottom. Make sure you lubricate everything with oil. Take your time. Piston now, MV14 faces this way. Intake faces that way. So obviously carburetors will be here. Next thing for me that I'm going to be looking at is replacing these O-rings. I have a box full of them, so I'll do that. And then I'll add the head gasket, add the head, get a TDC. But I'm not going to do timing yet. I'm going to finish the back. I'd like to do both of them simultaneously with this cover being on. But yeah, progress is slow, but as I said, it's not a marathon. We can finish it up. Just take your time and finish it properly. Right, let's carry on. Having a look at your heads quickly. You'll see there's an F mark. That's front. And you'll see an R mark, which is your rear. If you're not sure to tell your heads apart, that's a way. Right, let's carry on. Well, we're this far so far. Tensioners. Let's talk about tensioners quickly. Interesting. Let me show you something. This tensioner, depending on the amount the tensioner sticks out, you can determine how worn your chain is or not, because it'll push in, and if it's a fairly new chain, it wouldn't stick out much. But if your chain is quite worn, it'll stick out very far. Okay, just a tip for you on the tensioners. Right, we've done the front, so let's carry on. I'll just stick in the cam, and I'm not going to line up timing yet. I'll get TDC. Just want to have a look at something, and then we'll carry on with the rear cylinder. Let's quickly have a chat about cam chain, timing, cam gears. It's got a bunch of stuff written on here. MRI in dots, lines and arrows and whatnot. Your crank will read TFTR. Top front, top rear, as you rotate it. One timing mark only. Your top, let's say your cylinders are set up top dead center. Right, we're there. Cam chain, timing chain is in. The only two lines that you are concerned of are these two lines. Forget about the MRI stuff, the intake, the dots and the whatnots. Turn it around, let it face away from you. You are just concerned on these two lines. With your top dead center done, Obviously it's a bit more work to just get it installed, but what you will see eventually, what you want to achieve, is to get it sitting like this. Your two lines are horizontal, your bolts will be vertically lined up. You can get a bit of slack on your chain, or you're going to see it's going to be a bit of a mission. It's not straightforward. You can take your tensioner, and I'll demonstrate it. No, you can push it in, push it inwards, undo it and lock it. It will keep it in place, if memory serves me correct. But I'll do that now. Okay, and then we'll carry on. Let's do that in time lapse quickly. Right, you can hold your tensioner flat in the flat position so that it doesn't extend outward. That will give you a bit more room to do your work with your timing chain and stuff. But it's not straightforward to keep it there. I'll quickly demonstrate. I'm taking, let's loosen this up. One wrench. Then currently the tensioner is bent in the normal position as it should, open position. What you can do is get a bar, push it in against your tensioner at the back, push the little tensioner at the top, it's spring loaded, hold it in, push it in until you have it completely flattened out. Then you can take your wrench, fasten it on the top, boom, there you go. Don't over tighten it, don't damage anything on the top here, but it's a quick fix. You can work like that. And please remember, on your head you have these rubbers, they go in between your tensioner. Make sure that you have them in. I still need to do the rear one. Okay, let's carry on. Right, that is set up. This trick saves you a lot of time. It really does. It makes setting up timing on these things very easy. This will apply to any tensioner that Honda makes that has this little mechanism. XR500s will be the same. Let's add a bit of a jungle juice. Just find it in this place. It's a bit, there we go. It's getting cramped up here. Loctite. Please add a bit on these bolts. Don't need to do a lot, but do a little bit at least. You don't want these things flying off. That is the last thing that you need. So let's tighten the one. I'm not going to do the other one now. We are very, very close to horizontal on these lines. I don't think you'll get it better. I'll try again. Use a torch. It's always handy. TF, that mark is still there. We're good to go there. Yeah. I'll try and see if I can get it better, but it's really very close. Let me pause it and let me quickly see if I can get it better. No, I moved it one tooth and it was out too far. Loctite, you can use the blue one, you can use the red one. You can come back and tighten these later. So let's quickly release this and see what the effects are. Chain is tightened. Cool stuff, cool beans. Remember what I said in the other video? The amount that this sticks out at the back, this is actually where you can see the amount of wear on your chain. So let's turn it once over and see if we're happy with it. But while we're at it, let me just tighten this one a bit more. You don't want to over tighten bolts, please don't. Okay, now I need to just remember the back that our timing chain comes with. First problem. Quite a bunch of compression here. Let's fasten this one. A tip on compression testing. If you do compression testing dry, throttle wide open obviously. Throttle wide open, unplug your coil, you don't want it to start. Put your compression tester in, get your reading. Compression tester out, put a bit of oil down, a little bit of oil. Put it down the barrel, do a wet compression test. If they are quite far apart, these two values, then you know you've got a worn motor. If they're fairly close to each other, you're good to go. Alright, so I'm happy with this. I'll just check how tight the chain is, but it really seems good. I don't have any problem there. So I'll be adding the rockers, and I'll do taper clearance on this one. So let me just get it to TDC again, install this on the top, and then we'll carry on. Do a bunch of oil quickly. We'll add some more oil when we're done. Make sure all your dowels are in. And it's important you follow the torque specs of this. Use a rubber mallet and use a hammer. Okay, let's get some washers here. There. I'll just tighten them up, and remember your oil feed at the back. This little guy, you'll see it's got a little oil channel here and a little hole here. It's crucial that you have these installed correctly. Then we'll go do tightening down and I'll get the clearances, adjust the tappets. You know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to add it now. Or can I? Let me just see if I can get in here with the 14. No. So, I'm first going to take it off, and I'll tell you why. I still need to torque my head, and I won't be able to get in with the socket there. So that's why I said sequence of events. Make sure you do one job before you carry on with the next one. So, let's get the torque values. And I'll put this battery on charge a bit quicker, or just change it with another one. Need a cup of coffee. See, it takes much longer if you do videos for these things. If I didn't do a video, I would have been done by now. But hopefully this helps somebody out somewhere. I know on the KTM 990 stuff that I've done, quite a few people have been thanking me about that. And I'm glad to be able to help them. I show to people the way I experience it, and they can take away from it what they can take away. And if there's something to be learned, let's learn about it. Alright, I'll see you just now. I'm going to make a cup of coffee and I'll be back. As soon as I find the remote. There we go. Right, for those of you that want to know, torque specifications, I wrote them down. Important ones. Tappet, well, that's intake. The heads, the head bolts, the big bolts, 47 Newton meters. You start tightening it up and you go like, you get to 40 Newton meters and this thing just wants to go and go and go and stretch, and you're not sure when you're going to break it off. Remember, these guys have curved head bolts. Let me just see if I can find you one. Yeah, here's one. Oh, they still have to come on. They go in here. But anyway, yeah, 47 Newton meters. Your 8mm bolts, 8mm bolts on the bike, 23 Newton meters. Cylinder head, camshaft holder. This is an important one. The camshaft holder. It's 23 Newton meters. It's not a lot. When you tighten it up, it seems a lot. But don't over tighten them. You'll squish it, you'll damage your cams. Tappets, intake 0.13 to 0.17, and exhaust 0.18 to 0.22 millimeters. I've done the front, happy with that. I'll start doing the rears, and then I'll fasten these bolts, get them sorted out, and then we'll do the rear cylinder. Cool, let's carry on. Right, Africa Twin, the rebuild has been done. The only thing I still want to do on the bike is balance / synchronize the carburetors, and I'll enrich it on one of the cylinders a bit. Runs a bit lean on one, I'll just check which one, but let's give it a quick start and hear what she sounds like. Done, sorted. And yes, I'll leave the mittens on. I've just grown accustomed to them. I love them. Cool, that's it. Africa Twin done. I still need to fit the crash bars. I'll do that. The one broke off on one of the mounting points. I welded that, that's sorted. Cool. We'll see what else is there. We'll do the trip meter video next. And I still need to do part 2 of the KTM 990 history. And then we'll do some more stuff on the Africa Twin. I'll go into some detail there. Until later, everybody. Cheers.